Hey guys, this is Axe. I'm going to do a little tech deck kind of thing. It's for my artifact deck. So let's get to it. First, this card right here is what the deck is like. This is the focus point of my deck. When I need to get him out pretty fast, because what the focus of the deck, obviously, is to create the artifacts, the Thothers. So I'll just keep creating Thothers and Thothers most likely every turn. Um, and I have another card right here that could come out the next turn. So really, I have two cards right here that do the same thing whenever you cast an artifact spell. Create a 1/1 colorless Thother artifact creature token with flying. Sai just is a creature for less mana, and it actually has another ability that says tap 1 and 1 blue to sacrifice 2 artifacts, and then I draw a card. So the thing is, I don't want to be sacking my Thothers. What I want to be sacking is treasure tokens. So where do I get these treasure tokens? Smothering Tithe. So once I get this out, this is a pretty good combo. So what happens is, especially in a free-for-all, if we're in a free-for-all, whenever the opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. So it's a treasure artifact token. So pretty much, you just want to be creating treasures every turn, and there's a lot of decks out there where you draw a lot. So nobody's going to be wanting to pay the 2 mana every turn for 1, and also be paying it in addition to their draws that they do during the turn. So that's a good combo because you have a lot of treasures, most likely. Sometimes my friends just like to mess with me and pay the 2 anyways, even though it hurts them. But a lot of the times they're just like, whatever. So what I do is I use this. I get to keep my Thother tokens, which I'm creating 2 most likely every turn now. And not only that, I'm also able to draw a card most every turn, because I can stack my treasures created by this. So, the next card that I'll show is Saheeli the Gifted. I'm going to switch these two. So Saheeli, for her +1, well, she's a 4-drop, first of all. Saheeli the Gifted. She's got 4 loyalty. Her +1, one of her +1s, because she has 2, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact token. So now I'm creating servos and Thothers every turn. Unless, of course, I want to do the other +1 for a spell that costs a lot. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control as you cast it. So that is pretty good. It's affinity for artifacts. Affinity is always good, especially with artifacts with high costing mana. So both of these abilities help. I usually will not use the -7 unless I just want to overkill and I'm already going to kill. So for each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So that part, the exile of the tokens, kind of sucks, but it doesn't really, because if you have a lot of the tokens out and a lot of other artifacts out, it really is very good, and it's a -7. So when you start at 4, you'll probably get to 7 very fast, but you'll probably go beyond the 7 and end up doing a -7 and still keeping Saheeli alive. which is actually very good, and she can be a commander. I don't really. I have a commander deck. I might do that in another video, but I don't know about that. But I do. It's a feather deck. It's pretty good, but back to this. So pretty much. Sorry, I'm new to this, and I'm not a very good camera person, and I'm doing this on my iPhone. But you know, it is what it is. So the next card. It's kind of like the +1 here, except it's Convoke. It's a creature, it's a 2-drop, Chief Engineer. It's a Vidalcan Artificer. Artifact spells you cast have Convoke, which means they can, my creatures can help cast these spells. Each creature you tap while casting an artifact spell pays for 1, or 1 mana of that creature's color. So 1/3. So that helps with, again, if I don't have Saheeli out and I'm not using the other +1, which I won't be using the +1 of Saheeli if I'm using this card already. So that would just make the servos come out more and faster. Now, another card, well, since I'm creating a lot of creature tokens, Thothers, servos, servos and Thothers, and they all have +1 and +1/+1 and have vigilance. So it'll be 2/2 flyers and non-flyers with vigilance. So that's pretty good. In my opinion, like, having flyers with vigilance is really good. Now, this right here, Tanos Urza's Apprentice, is a legendary creature, human artificer, a 1/3. It's a 2-drop, 1 red, 1 blue. It has haste, so you can use its ability right away. The ability, you tap 1 blue and 1 red, and then tap it. So, you copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. You may choose new targets for the copy. So, I'm going to use this as an example, but it doesn't work because it's not an artifact source. But here are 2 different abilities that are triggered and activated, and also one that is triggered. So the trigger is whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thother artifact creature token with flying. So if Sai was a artifact, then that would make this from an artifact source, and whenever I cast an artifact spell, I could copy the triggered ability and create another Thother. But since it's not an artifact, I can't do that. But now, also this 2 and sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card, I could do that as well, because this is a activated ability. But also, again, it has to be on an artifact. So I don't have an artifact showing yet with an ability that would work, but it doesn't. But it also says mana abilities can't be targeted. So, like, if I had a mana rock, it wouldn't work. So, the next card I'll show is Sharding Sphinx. This is another Thother creator. So, whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may put a 1/1 blue Thother artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So I don't have that token, not yet. It's coming in soon. Because the shop didn't have them. Their commander cards, and they're double-sided, so it's like kind of hard to get them, apparently. But this is a 4/4 flyer, which is really good, but it is a 6-drop. But with that ability, it counts on itself. So, with all these Thothers and this artifact creature Sphinx, that's insane. Especially if I end up wanting to use her -7 with that out, a bunch of Thothers out already, and servos, and other artifact creatures that I will have, I will be able to create a lot of 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens. Plus, they're also artifacts, so once I get them out, I end up creating more artifact creature tokens. And since this says whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it would work for this ability. So I would tap. So first of all, I would swing. Then I would tap for 2. I would tap it. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. So I would copy that ability, the triggered ability, and then I would create another Thopter for each creature that attacked this turn. I mean, that dealt combat damage this turn. Then, once I have that copied, I have a lot more Thopters than I should have. So this card does come in handy. And it does have haste, so it's actually pretty good, especially if I have mana open. But, let's see. Let's go to the next card over here. Brutaclad Telcor Engineer. This is another commander card. Like, people use this for a commander. And this is why. First of all, creature tokens you control have haste. That's really good in this because I have the servo tokens, I have the Thopters, I have other Thopters, and they all have vigilance and flying, most likely. So that's kind of insane. But the other ability, this. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 bloomer artifact creature token. Those are coming in too. I do not have those to show. So, once you have the 2/1 created, you move to the next part. Then, you may choose a token you control, which I would pretty much be copying I would pretty much choose a Thopter every turn just because it's got flying. So then, if you do choose a creature token that I control, choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. Now, those tokens includes the 2/1 blue artifact creature tokens, the servo tokens, the Thopter tokens, the treasure tokens, and the blue treasure token. I mean, not treasure, the Thopter tokens. So that means that even my treasure tokens get changed into a 2/2 flying Thopter token. That's pretty darn good, considering they all have flying and not a lot of people run flying right now. But this ability works a lot better if I have already used the ability from this Saheeli at least once. So, another Saheeli. Saheeli Sublime Artificer. First of all, this is whenever you cast a non-creature spell. So it can be artifacts that aren't creatures in general, or even this other Planeswalker. If I cast her after casting her, then it would create a servo token. So, and the enchantment right here, this enchantment, other cards that are not creatures. So, but the ability is a -2. She's a 3-drop. She has 5 loyalty. Her -2. Target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. So, this is what I would do. So, first of all, player, if I have a Thopter out on -2, if I have a treasure out at the time, I would use the treasure, I would target the treasure. It would become the copy of another target artifact or creature I control. So, the creature that I control at the time, hopefully this, would be copied onto a treasure tokens, but it would still be a treasure token. In all reality, it would be better to do it on the Thothers for another reason, and I will tell you that in a minute. So, first, 4/4 flyer. First of all, this treasure token is nothing except for tap, sacrifice this artifact. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So, it will turn into a 4/4 flying Sphinx with this ability. It's still a treasure token. It does not have its abilities that it used to have, but it does have this ability. Now, if I have this card on the field, when I go into combat, this in the turn, if I choose this treasure token that has now become a 4/4 flyer, which is still a token, that means that I copy this 4/4 flyer, but after creating the 2/1 Myr, create the 2/1 Myr, and then I choose this 4/4 treasure token that is now a 4/4 flyer. When this 4/4 flyer, I now copy that onto every single artifact. Every artifact token that I control. My Thothers, my other treasure tokens, my Servos, my 1/1 blue Thother artifact creature token with flying. So, from there, you know what that does? That means that end of turn that you see right there is completely fizzled out. Because now I've copied even that creature token into what it is. So now it's forever until it dies. But it wouldn't matter because it's too late. But, so I would copy that to that. Now, whenever I deal combat damage with an say I swing with one of those 4/4 flyers. That's it. One of the 4/4 flyers. Once it deals combat damage, it would trigger every single token that I have. Now, say I copied it. I can only copy one. So I would copy one of them, so it would just make it to where I have one extra than I actually had. So, say I had 15 of them. First of all, if I only swung one of them, that would be 4 damage. They would go down to 16 if they're at 20. Then, from there, I would create one 1/1 blue Thother artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Not one time, but I would create that Thother 1 plus the other 14. That would be 15 Thother tokens. But then I would tap my 2, copy the ability on one of them. It would just give me another 1. It wouldn't give me another 14. It would only give me another 1. Unless, of course, I swung all 15 of them, which is 60 damage. But that doesn't matter. 60 damage. And if it all goes through, which flying, it's very possible that some of it won't, but most of it will. And that would mean, first of all, they're dead, but it would mean that you have a lot of Thother created to do. If they somehow didn't die. If they're playing a life gain deck and they have over 100 health, then it would be a little close to not being done. But you would create 15 Thothers for this one, Then, for the next one, you would create another 15. And then, for the next one, you would create another 15. But you're also not just swinging the tokens. You would, like, you have other artifacts. You have this one, which is not flying, so you probably wouldn't swing with that. But you also have this one. Now, this one, with all of this madness going on with the Thopter and Servo and treasure creating, this right here, Filigree Angel, 8-drop. First of all, with this ability, it would be virtually just 3 mana. But also, with this ability, it could be no mana at all. You could use this ability to make the 5 go away. Then it's 3 mana. But then you come over here and tap 3 things, which they have to be creatures. But yeah, 3 creatures to do the rest of the mana. Alright, but so it's not entirely a bad thing, but also by the time you want to play this card, you probably have enough mana. But when Filigree Angel enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. But it doesn't stop there. For each artifact you control. So, now we're getting somewhere. That would mean, let's say you didn't attack, you still have the 15 4/4 flyers. First of all, the 15 4/4 flyers, this right here, plus you probably got to create at least one more treasure token. Then Saheeli would create a colorless Servo before playing Filigree Angel. Then you also have this, which means that is 1, 2, 3, plus the 15. So that's 18. So 18 3 times. 18 3 times. That is pretty insane. Now, Servos and Thopters you control get +1/+1. So these 4/4 flyers, first of all, they're already 5/5 with vigilance and flying, not 4/4s. But you get this out, since this says if you do each other token you wait. Oh wait, no, it was this right here. This is where this part comes in. Target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. So, in addition to its other types. So, first of all, this is still a token artifact, which is still a treasure. So it would not get the extra Servos and Thopters get +1/+1, but the Servos are now 5/5 flyers with vigilance, but they're still token artifact creatures, Servos, and artifacts, which they're already artifacts, so it doesn't matter. But the next part, these 4/4 flyers are still Thopter tokens. So the Servos and Thopters you control get +1/+1. Still carries over. So now they are no longer 5/5 flyers with vigilance. They are now 6/6 flyers with vigilance. And all you had to do was play a couple of other cards. Now, it's insane madness, but it's not always possible to get all of this combo, except with Psy out, with Psy Master Thopters out, and this tap 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts, and Smothering Tithe out. It's pretty good. And with the treasure tokens you would be creating, you sack those, draw a card. So this whole thing, the whole being able to draw a card every turn pretty much would make it to where you get to this combo pretty much every game. The only problem would be if you didn't get Sai. But I have 2 of them in this deck. And it is a legendary creature, but it is a 3-drop. So it's pretty fast getting it out. Plus, you have this, which is only a 4-drop. So you play that the next turn if you have it in your hand. Which, most of the time, I only get one of the 2, and then I end up getting the other one out later. But last night I played against a friend and got Sai, Master Thopterus, twice. Like, in my starting hand. 2 of them in my starting hand. Which I would have mulligan, but I was like, no, because he was playing a Dimir deck, so it's like he might be able to destroy Sai. He never did, so I never got to use the other one, but it was good that I had both. But that is the main big part of the deck. Now, let's put these all together. And get out the next part. So first of all, alright, so I think I do have too many lands. But Cataclysmic Gearhulk, just have him in there to, you know, board wipe pretty much. Another Sai. Aboard the Weatherlight, which is pretty good to get you a historic card, which artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. So I don't have sagas in here, but I do have artifacts and legendaries. So that's pretty good. Now, I have 3 Power Stone shards, which I should put 4, get rid of some mana, and move on from there. But Power Stone shard is good. First of all, because if you have 4 of them out, which I only have 3, so if you have 3 of them out, first, that's 9 mana between the 3 of them. So that's pretty darn good. Then I have 3 manaless. But the good thing about having these is, yes, it's a little overboard on the mana, but first of all, the artifacts usually cost a lot. Second of all, having this much mana doesn't really hurt unless you draw into too much. But the next thing is, first of all, it counts towards your Sai for you played an artifact, but it also counts towards your Filigree Angel, and you gained a lot more life than, you know, you should have. But now, I have 2 Navigator's Compass. This is, when it enters, you gain 3 life. Also, you would create as many servos as needed, and, well, 1 servo if you have Saheeli, the Sublime Artificer out, but Thopter tokens. You would create 2 of them, most likely. Also, if you don't have the right mana out, and you don't have any mana lists out, you can tap this until in the turn, target land you control becomes the basic land of your choice in addition to its other types. So say I need 1 blue, 1 red for the Thanos character. And I only have a white. I have a bunch of white and a bunch of blue, but I have no red. You can tap this, tap a white mana, and tap this, change 1 of my white mana into a red mana, and then I move on from there. Then the next part, another card. These are just cards that aren't significant, but they are in ways in my deck. So first of all, this creature can get pretty big. It's just a creature, human artificer, daring archaeologist. It's a 4-drop, 3/3. But whenever it enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So last night, Filigree Angel got killed, right? So I literally played the. I didn't have it in my hand. I was like, God, please let me get this card, this daring archaeologist, please, please, please. He was laughing at me, asking, "Did you get what you want when I drew?" And all that happened was a very big smile went across my face. I had just lost a lot of life because he killed my creature, tapped another creature, and then he swung at me mostly in the air when I could. Like, my deck was not doing as well as I wished it would. But I did have Psy out and the efficient construction. So I got Filigree. I played this right then. I got Filigree Angel back out. Then I lost more life again, which, by the way, I played Filigree Angel already, which is how he killed it, so I gained a lot of life already. So, he killed it, I drew this, got it out of the graveyard. He had done some damage, I took it, got me down pretty low, like 3 health. Then, I drew the card that I needed, the one card that I needed. Played it, and he didn't get to swing that turn because I had enough creatures to block all his stuff and kill it, but not really at the same time. So it was like he didn't want to risk losing by doing this, so he just moved on. And then from there, came back to my turn. I played Filigree Angel, created 2 Thothers beforehand, because it's whenever you cast, not whenever they enter the battlefield. So it's whenever they cast, so it triggers first, then when it enters the battlefield triggers. Which made it where I had more Thothers. I didn't have the good combo out, but I created more Thothers, and I had I had the Mana Rocks, which, again, help you out for the life gain. So I gained 50-something health, and because of that, I was able to almost win the game, but he had an artifact as well. No, that was the Commander game, so that's something different. But I ended up winning that game, yes. The Commander game I ended up losing because he had an artifact that, in a life game that he has, that he pays 50 life and target opponent loses 50 life. I was below 50 life because my deck was not a life game, even though it was gaining more life than his at first. But doesn't matter. I ended up losing only because of that. If he hadn't done that, I would have ended up winning. But obviously that's a what if, so it doesn't really matter. I lost. But the other ability is pretty good too. Whenever you cast a historic spell, put a +1/+1 counter on him. So it can get pretty big pretty fast in this deck, except you gotta keep casting artifacts and legendaries and stuff. The next card, there's 2 of them here. When Aviation Pioneer enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So it doesn't trigger the ability, but it does create a Thopter. So that's pretty good if I don't have the combo out yet. I really like this card. It's a 3-drop and it's a 1/2. But it's not ideal to get it first hand. This one right here, Gearsmith Prodigy, is actually a pretty good card to get first hand because it's a 1-drop, 1/2. Gets +1/+0 as long as you control an artifact. So play it first hand, next turn you play an artifact, you get 2 damage off. It's pretty good. And Scholar of Stars, first of all, it's 4-drop. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, if I control an artifact, draw a card. Since it's a 4-drop, probably already control an artifact. It's a pretty good card. It helps you draw cards. Just gets you closer to your abilities. Now, here's a 1/1 Thopter that when it enters, draw a card. But it's a 3-drop. Skyscanner, good card. Not the best mana drop, but it is a Thopter with flying, so it's not bad. Next, there's two of them. Rogue's Gloves. It's a 2-drop, 2 equip. Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. This is another draw mechanic that helps a lot getting your combo out. So, especially with flying. So, yeah. Now, here's a Cobbled Wings. 2-drop, 1 to equip creature has flying. This is pretty good for creatures, say, like Scholar of Stars, or your Daring Archaeologist back here. Which ends up being really good because now you have a flyer that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's kind of insane because with the other ability, you can choose this creature instead of an artifact because obviously it would become an artifact. And then instead of creating the Thopter thing, you can copy that onto, you can copy this creature, the Daring Archaeologist, onto everything, and everything becomes that creature with the ability, but they don't all have flying, so that kind of sucks. But here's another good card. Foil, doesn't really matter. Short Sword, it's 1-drop. I know a lot of people like foil, but equipped creature gets +1/+1, and it's 1 to equip. Pretty good. Helps a little bit. Now, Traveler's Amulet. It's a 1-drop, but you gotta pay 1 and sacrifice it, which is usually not the way that happens. But you search your library for a land, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. So, in all reality, this is actually a really good card to have first hand, especially if you don't have the mana you need. Like, say you have enough white, enough blue to do whatever you want the whole game, but you don't have any red. You have this out, you tap it, sack it, you go back for a freaking mountain, and you have what you need. So, that's pretty much it. Lands, I still think I had too many. I'm gonna work on that, but I have Sifwater Cliffs, I have mountains, I have plains, I have meandering rivers, more mountains and islands and plains and meandering rivers, and I have more blue than anything else because this originally was a blue deck with a little bit of white. But then I added all these other big artifacts that are actually really good. These are all my tokens, not very important, but here's all the good cards. That's pretty much all I wanted to show. Thanks for watching.